Good evening. India has passed the 80,000 mark when it comes to coronavirus positive cases in the country. We currently stand at 82,702 COVID-19 positive cases in all of India. Across India, coronavirus cases have jumped by almost 4,000 in the past 24 hours. That's what the Health Ministry data showed this morning, with 100 deaths being reported at that point of time. And this comes at a time when the current lockdown, the third since it was enforced on the 25th of March, is scheduled to end on Sunday, and it's expected to be extended again. But given the steep rise of the cases and the number of cases that we're seeing, but with red flags over the condition of the economy, further relaxations in economic activity are also expected. So what should one do under these circumstances? How can you look out for yourselves and your loved ones? Because remember, the government, the experts, they're all saying this is the new normal. The coronavirus is not going away anytime soon. Remember, the total number of cases in India crossing that 80,000 mark. And this is the show where we bring you the best in the business, the experts, the doctors, to answer all of your questions, your fears, any of your concerns. How can one protect oneself and one's loved ones in these trying times? And today on the show we have Dr. V. Mohan. He is the chairman and the chief of diabetology at the Dr. Mohan's Diabetes Specialties Center in Chennai. He is also a Padma Shri awardee. Dr. Mohan, thank you for joining us, and already the calls are coming in. They're ringing, our phones are ringing off the hook. So I already have the first caller, who is Karthik from Tamil Nadu actually. So go ahead, Karthik, what's your question for Dr. Mohan?
I'm Karthik from Tamil Nadu. So my question is,
Karthik.
What is herd immunity?
Okay. So herd immunity is something which sets in when about 60% of the population is infected. Now, we just heard the numbers, the latest numbers, 80,000 people who have confirmed to have COVID-19. You must remember that COVID-19 is an asymptomatic disease in about 80%. There are some reports which say that 95% are asymptomatic. So given that about 80% are asymptomatic, and considering that many people we have not tested, these numbers are probably much more than the 80,000 that we are talking about. Many of them may not have even a fever or a cough or a cold. So it's possible that there are many more people who have it. When, let us say, we just discussed about this lockdown, suppose the lockdown is lifted, then there will be some amount of community transmission, but eventually the body will definitely get immunity to the virus by producing the antibodies. So once a 60% of the population level develops this antibody, then herd immunity has set in, and it's very unlikely that this COVID will trouble this population anymore. And suppose it comes again, let us say after 6 months, 1 year, the majority people are already got an immunity. So that is what is called as herd immunity. For that, the magic figure that they talk about is 60% of the population having some degree of infection.
Well, interesting we talk about that also, is because we expecting on Monday this lockdown will be eased up even more, and different states have been asking for different conditions for lockdown 4.0. Tamil Nadu, for example, doctor, is asking for economic activity to be restarted except in containment zones, and this is some state that has registered a massive surge in COVID-19 cases over the past few days. So I want to ask you at some point today what your advice would be for people in the state of Tamil Nadu as they go out and about, as the government open things up. But let me go across for now to Priyank from Delhi.
Priyank, go ahead.
Priyank, go ahead.
Yeah, hi, good evening. Yeah, so actually yesterday on the show, the doctor on the panel said that this virus does not spread through water. So my question is exactly the reason why the swimming pools are closed in Delhi. That is the first thing. And I have another small question, that is, I'm around 35 years of age and I have had pneumonia and TB before. Now, since this virus affects the lungs, am I at an increased risk of infection at that time?
So I'll answer your first question
Dr.
first.
Dr. Mohan, you can see the heat's rising in the capital. But in all seriousness, why should anyone make a case for pools opening up?
Yes, it's very unlikely that through water the virus is transmitted. But you must remember that in a swimming pool, it's not only water. Sure. There are, you get close to people. Somebody may cough and somebody near you may get it, even in the pool, outside the pool. You also use various equipments within a swimming pool. You also use a towel. You use bathing towels, which may be washed and so on, but still before that chances of infection are there. So at non-essential items, it is better to hold on for some more time. The question about Tamil Nadu was also raised. Why is it increasing in Tamil Nadu? We must remember that about until 3-4 weeks ago, Tamil Nadu didn't have testing kits at all. So the increase in the number of cases in Tamil Nadu, at least, I can speak for Tamil Nadu because I live here. In fact, on Monday, I have a meeting with the health secretary where she has invited me to come and discuss matters with her. But if you look at the number of cases that have gone up, it's directly proportional to the number of tests which have been done.
Yeah, sure.
If you look at the number of deaths, see, at about, say, 2 weeks ago, when we had 60 cases in a day, we had 1 or 2 deaths. There have been days when we've had 250 cases, but not a single death. So the more you test, you'll pick up more milder cases, asymptomatic cases. So I would not worry too much about the actual number of cases that you pick up. To me, the hard endpoint is those who end up in ICU, those who need ventilatory or other support, and those who die. That is definitely a hard endpoint. You cannot get by that. If there are thousands and thousands of people dying, you may say you're not testing, therefore you're missing cases. I buy that. But I cannot accept the fact that thousands and thousands are dying. Where are they going? I have checked out all the mortuaries as well as the burial grounds as well as the cremation grounds. There is no big hike in the number of people who have died in Chennai, for example, after the COVID came. So the cases, see, the total number of cases who died in Tamil Nadu are some 80 or something like that. So if you divide that by the number of days, it's like 1 case a day or something like that was dying. The whole state, which is 70 million people. So I don't think there is anything to panic. Of course, when you close you have to open up because you cannot keep this lockdown going on for what? For 10 years, you're going to keep the lockdown. In 2 months itself, the economy is shattered. If you keep it for another 2-3 months, it's gone. Now, if you look at even the total number that was mentioned, 80,000 cases was mentioned. Sounds like a huge number. I'd like to put it in proper perspective. You divide that by India's, the billion, 1.366 billion. The number of people actually infected in India with that 80,000, you can even multiply it by 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever number you want, 10 you want to multiply. Even then, the number of people infected in India comes to 0.0000 something, fifth decimal point it comes. So that's the number of people, which means 99.99999% of people have not been infected in India. So while 80,000 sounds like a large number, and the first thing we do in the morning is we see the newspaper, we listen to NDTV, we listen to everything, oh, another 500, another 1,000, another 2,000. So this panic is going to kill more people than COVID itself. If you look at the total number of cases in India, 80,000 is much less than the number of people who have died in the United States, which has 1/3 of our population. So I think we have to spread positivity. We have to open up. At the same time, we have to be very, very careful. For example, the questions asked about swimming pool is definitely something you can avoid. Even if there's a 1% chance of spreading, that is something you can avoid. But going to work, earning, those are things which you cannot close down forever. So we have to be careful, wear the mask, maintain social distancing, then you're fine.
That's why we have experts like you in our studio, and we give you that platform so that you can put all of these numbers in perspective and answer the questions that our viewers have directly. But I know, Priyank, you had a question about your health, where you said, Priyank, if we have Dr. Chauhan joining us also, he's a senior diabeto-cardiologist at the Chauhan Sanjeevani Hospitals in Bareilly. So, Dr. Chauhan, we had this caller who was asking, I think he said he was 35, but he's had pneumonia, a history of that recently, and lung issues. So, is he at more risk than others, and what can he do to protect himself?
In fact, I am practicing in Bareilly, and what I see around here, there are not many cases of pneumonia as such which have come from the COVID-19. Whatever the reasons of it, whatever the regions which have come out with it, most of them, they have been either mild or they have been moderate, but there has not been very, very severe cases in this particular part of country. Regions are not very clear to me because this is a new disease and it's very difficult to say why
happening. Either they have come here with the cough, with sneezing, with body ache, and sometimes they remain some kind of a vomiting or something for at least 2-3 days, and they become normal when they are isolated and they are in the ward. So this is the thing which is happening in our time, in our type of circumstances.
Okay. We have callers piling up. Vivek Bhatt from New Delhi has a question. Go ahead, Vivek.
Yeah, my question was to Dr. V. Mohan, who is a diabetologist. Dr. Mohan, I am a type 2 diabetes patient. Of course, my sugar level remains high, but not very high. It remains at about 170, 180. So my question to you was, when we talk about diabetes patients being high-risk patients, are we saying that, the probability of my getting exposed to COVID-19 virus is higher in comparison to a normal person? Or is it that if I get COVID-19 virus inside my body, then I'm more susceptible to have to make it more severe and chronic?
I think the latter one, because see, I often talk in such programs and say, people see that I'll give you a classic example. One of my patients from Abu Dhabi, he called me and he said, Doc, I'm 60 plus and I've got diabetes, so I'm definitely going to die. I said, no, you're not going to die. I'll tell you why. Because if you're going to take precautions, if you're going to stay at home, the virus is not like a drone, where it finds out who is the person with diabetes, let me go and attack him, and then bang, he goes and attacks him. That's not going to happen at all. You stay at home, you don't get infected, you're just like anybody else. But you mentioned about uncontrolled diabetes, and you said 170. I don't know whether it's a fasting or an after food sugar. If it's a fasting sugar, it's really high. 170 is too high. It's an after food sugar, it's not too bad. Another 10 milligrams you bring down and you're fine. So the point is, if you keep your sugars under good control, then even with diabetes, your risk of doing worse or fatality or it getting worse outcomes is just like the general population. So that extra point about you having type 2 diabetes will not affect you. On the other hand, if you have uncontrolled diabetes, then yes, once you get the infection, you are at risk of developing worse prognosis. You can generally divide this COVID into 4 stages. First stage, no symptoms. Second stage, mild symptoms, as Dr. Chavan said. Third stage, where you develop breathlessness, you might need hospitalization. Fourth is critical, where you're in the ICU and so on. That stage 3 and stage 4 are more in uncontrolled diabetic people, those who are hypertension, heart disease, and the lung infection. The previous caller asked, I've got tuberculosis, so I had tuberculosis, so am I more prone? Yes, you're slightly more prone. Pneumonia might have gone away, the old pneumonia, but the tuberculosis might have left the lung a little bit scarred. So what you should do to prevent it? Take all the precautions. You don't go out unless it's absolutely needed. Don't mix with anyone. Wear a mask. Wash your hands. Keep away from people who are infected. Try not to go to crowded places. Then you're okay.
Okay. Dr. Mohan, we have lots of callers. So let's try and get to all of them quickly. KK Joshi from Udaipur. Mr. Joshi?
Years of age, yeah. And for last 6 years, I have been diagnosed with severe sleep apnea, obstructive sleep apnea. So, is there any extra precaution to be taken by a patient of sleep apnea?
Sleep apnea.
So
Dr. Chauhan, would you like to take that question?
Dr. Chauhan can take that.
Hypertension?
No, sleep apnea.
Apnea. Because the voice is not very clear to me.
Yeah, but that's what he's talking about. He's in his 40s.
Can you repeat the question to me?
He's a caller from Udaipur who's in his 40s and suffers from sleep apnea and wondering, any specific precautions he needs to take.
What happened in sleep apnea as such does not produce problem with the COVID-19, but it has been found that this is one of the risk factor for heart disease and for other things also. Yeah. So you have to be little careful once you are having the overweight, once you are having a sleep apnea, and you have any other thing along with this. Then you have to be little careful about it. So for the COVID-19 as such per se does not make any difference to that. But then it will be important if you don't take care of it and if it increases. It is always better that if you can get the test done and have the machine done.
Okay. Joe from Thane has a question. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, my question, I am 57 years old and I am a chronic asthma patient. Can you hear me? Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, Joe. 57 years old?
Yes, I am in a dilemma
because I contacted my doctor about my condition and she advised me to come to the hospital. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, so she advised me to come to the hospital, which is for respiratory OPD. When I call the hospital tells me that if you do not have fever, do not come, we will not let you inside. So I'm in a dilemma, what am I supposed to do? Because my condition throughout the day varies. I sometimes respond to medicines and I'm sometimes struggling to breathe, but I do not have fever. And since I don't have fever, even Arogya Setu says, you do not have fever, do not go.
Dr. Mohan, what would you advise Joe?
I can answer that. So I can't answer for your doctor and what he told you. But asthma is definitely one of the comorbid conditions in which people don't do well. Right now, you don't have COVID-19, you don't have fever, you have only your asthma. You manage your asthma quite well all these days, and asthma is a chronic condition. So whether it's a nebulizer or whether it's a steroid spray you're using or tablets you're using or Derifilin or whatever you're taking, you continue that. See that you wear a mask. If you're on oxygen on and off, you can use that. Otherwise, just with your nebulizer and whatever treatment for asthma you're taking, you see that you continue your regular treatment. Just because you have asthma, you don't have to go to a hospital. Why should you go to a hospital now? Try to get a teleconsultation done now and tell them, unless you have a problem for which you have to be treated in the hospital, I would say get a teleconsultation done. Contact your usual doctor, tell him your symptoms, get your dosage adjusted. I've been doing thousands of teleconsultations by diabetic patients. Neither I have gone to the hospital nor they have come to the hospital, but I have been able to advise them doing the proper tests and so on. So with that, I think unless you have fever, unless you have infection, unless you need to take antibiotics or get an IV infusion or something, I would say don't go to the hospital. Take the treatment, adjust your doses, talk to your doctor, let the COVID thing come down a little bit more, let the risk come down, then you can go to the hospital.
Sure. So possibly better to avoid going to a hospital where you could come in, in contact with other cases and patients who have COVID-19. Let's go in for a short break. We have another short segment and possibly try and get one or two more callers. Stay tuned. Welcome back. We're almost out of time, but a quick question. Dr. Mohan, Dr. Fauci, the White House health advisor, has warned against schools opening up in the US because 3 children have died in New York, and doctors are saying something to do with what they're calling Kawasaki disease. Just a simple question, does COVID-19 affect children or not?
The evidence is that below 1 year of age, it does affect children. The thing is that they have a much better recovery rate, their immunity is much better. But below 1 year of age, death rates have been quite high. Between the ages of 1 to say 19 years, they recover much better. So we cannot say that children will not get, but most of them are asymptomatic and they develop quickly they develop immunity. Herd immunity was asked earlier on in the session. So if children develop herd immunity, then they need not get it again, and very, very few deaths between the ages of 1 to 19 have been reported. But still one has to be careful, and it's better to keep them away from schools for some more time.
I don't think that's what parents want to hear tonight, Doctor. Thank you for that, though. Thank you both, Dr. Chauhan and Dr. Mohan, for joining us tonight. Bye-bye.